Welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here. I'm very, very sorry for that. I forgot to press the mute button to unmute myself. That happens. I've been doing this for so long, and now suddenly, I don't know what's happening since yesterday. But anyway, welcome, welcome. Yes, there we go. So everybody's telling me sound is now on. Just wait for delay. Just wait for delay to pause. Okay, cool. Thank you very much. There we go. Good morning. I see over on LinkedIn I've got Ryan. Ryan, also thank you for letting me know that you can't hear me. Michelle, welcome. Neil, welcome back. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much for being with me this morning. I really appreciate it. I thought there's going to be a number of people sleeping in this morning, but the stalwarts are always ready to go. Qubus Klein over on YouTube. Thank you very much. Good morning. Very nice to see you. Do not seem to hear you on YouTube. Yes, we fixed it. You should hear me by now. I'm pretty sure that it's there. Okay, now it's on. He says yes. Thank you very much. Steadens, also thank you to you for letting me know. Alrighty, so let's get this going. There's quite a number of interesting things that happened yesterday. Maybe I mustn't shout. But there's quite a number of things that happened yesterday. That was, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's because America's on the other side of the world. I don't know why we, because I saw late last night the whole Moody's thing that they cut us now to junk. So now it's 3 rating agencies. So this is obviously a very bad time to do this. I don't think it was good timing. I think they could have held off a little bit. That's my view. I don't know how these things work. I'm definitely not moving in those circles. But, you know, to make any kind of movements in situations like these, I think it maybe errs on the side of irresponsibility. I'm not sure. I don't know. Whatever. The situation is what it is. We've got to face it head on. And we've got to do what we've got to do. And let's build this country back up to where it's supposed to be. Let's build the economy back up where it's supposed to be. That's what we can control. That's what I can do. I cannot control what anybody else is deciding or what you decide to do today. But anyway, that was my 2 cents on that. So that happened. And then yesterday there was a notice that came out. It possibly came out on Thursday already. But it really started doing the rounds around that all website owners must have a notice on their homepage or on their website, a clear notice with a link to the official South African Coronavirus Center. So it's that website, sacoronavirus.co.za, I think is the link. So everybody is compelled to have that. This is not an option. If you read the words in the Gazette that was published, it clearly says must. Now, I work a lot with legislation. When you see the word must, it's not like when you feel like it, if you want to do it, if you don't want to do it. So those things are very important. So make sure that you've got a little notice on your website. I will show you what we did in terms of that, just how we did it. You can do it in any fashion. There's no prescription around what it should look like exactly, as long as it's, you know, on a landing page on your website. It is cool. It must just be clear and that people are able to find it easily. So I'm just going to move that over there. I'll show you on the screen. Let me do this. So, all right. So you should be able to see my screen right now, and you'll see here at the top, there's just a little banner there that says updates. SA Coronavirus Center is the words that we chose. They don't give you the words that you should use. And when you click on it, it'll just immediately take you to the COVID-19 page for South Africa. And that's to make sure that people have got access to the information, that they skip the fake news, and we don't waste time and wreaking havoc because people are going to fake news sites or reading fake posts and things like that. Anyway, so those are the things on on that. If you need help with that, let me know. As long as you've got a WordPress website, I can help you with that if you need help. But I'm pretty sure whoever's looking after your website can do that for you. It's not that difficult to implement, depending on what you do. So yeah, enjoy and make sure that that happens. It is definitely, we checked it out. I went and downloaded the Gazette directly from the government publishing, whatever, from their website. So it's not fake. It is true. I've also chatted to a number of people who's confirmed that it is so. And so we went ahead and all our websites have now got that notice on. All right. Razan, good morning. Welcome. Manette, thank you very much for being here. Nice to see you here as well. Thank you very much. And let's see. All right. So Terence says, let's see, my website hosting and design company saying they're not aware of it. I sent them the Gazette you sent, but they are investigating. Yeah, this is a general reaction from everybody, because I mean, if you understand, like, I mean, I don't look after many websites. I mainly look after my own and then a couple of others. You know, for somebody who's got hundreds or thousands of websites that they look after, for them to implement this is a huge thing. And this is I mean, I've had many conversations yesterday and last night and all of it, where people at exactly this, oh, we don't know about it, let's first investigate. And then they also go further to say, oh, but now, you know, obviously, because what's going to happen, this is the same situation that we're sitting in as we did with the masks and the sanitizer and the gloves and all of that, where there's always going to be a few people who's going to abuse the situation, if you will, to say that, you know what, your website's going to be taken down and all of this, and that's not the case. And they want to charge you exorbitant prices to make these changes. So just be aware of that. I think you've got to be also just what's fair and what's reasonable, I think is important. Some people are going to do it for you for free. Some people are going to charge you for it. And some people are going to try and extort you for it. Just make sure that you don't get extorted. I don't think it's fair to pay for it. It takes a lot of time to change all the websites. So I think it's fair to charge a fee for the changes. But yeah, that's up to you at the end of the day. And then there's also this debate about, yeah, but what if the client does not want to do it? The client has not got the choice. You see, you read the words, it says must. So yeah, but also, you know, if I let you know, like I did, I sent all of you the Gazette and the information around it. You know, what you do with it is at the end of the up to you. I helped to get the information out there. The next step that anybody takes is completely up to them. And I'm not going to force anybody to do it, but that's up to you. But I can tell you that the regulation says that you must have this on your website. And this is only for .za domain, so .co.za, .org.za, ac.za, anything that ends with a .za must have that. So if you've got a .net or a .com, you don't have to worry. If you're in South Africa, I would actually still put it up anyway. But yeah, because we want to help. I think this is also, we should view this as a small way of how we can contribute to the fight and how we can help. So that's my view anyway. Good morning, Lelani. Wow, Lelani Besaiden out in the house. Lelani, thank you very much for being here. Really appreciate it. And all right, so I need to get into today's topic, because yesterday I was thinking about, okay, so what's today going to be about? And then I've had so many conversations with so many different people and even in my own world, I'm trying to figure out exactly what I'm going to do. I think I shared with you in a previous episode that we've got a bit of a routine that we want to start, and already we faltered yesterday. I did not get to do my sit-ups yesterday, but I'll make up for it today. But there's small little things that we're doing and that we've planned for this time. But those are things for us as a family that we want to do. I'm talking here today more about what we can do about our businesses and our practices in these times. And even if you work for somebody and you're watching this, it doesn't matter. I'm going to talk about 21 things that we must focus on now. And I'm telling you, a lot of these things will also apply to you. And the other thing is that, you know, I don't think you should try and go out and do all 21 of these things, because 21 is a lot. That means one a day. And you'll see some of these things may take you a bit of time. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to give you 21 things that you can focus on and that you should focus on anyway. But now is a great time to focus on these things specifically. But you can decide which ones are maybe most important and focus on those ones first. Or once that is done, you can maybe choose more and then more and more and see how far you get. We're in a really interesting period at the moment, because now suddenly you've got time. or let's say not you have time, because it's still very busy. I mean, I can see, I thought I'm going to do stuff and I'm really busy at the moment. But that hopefully that's going to die down a little bit. And I say hopefully not from a business perspective, but I say hopefully from so I can get to these things that I want to do perspective, because for the first time we don't have the pressure of clients that we've got to help maybe. We can focus on other things. Now I know people are running around and helping and answering questions and talking to clients who's got panicked about their investments, etc. So I understand that, and every advisor situation is going to be completely unique. So I'm not for one second thinking that you have lots of time and you can just sit back and do that. But let me give you some ideas here, because I think there are really some great things that you can do. It's in no particular order. It's as they came in my head last night. Cheers. Hope you have a marvelous Saturday. Anyway, so it's as they came up in my head yesterday. So I'm going to share them with you. I'm going to show them on the screen as well. So have a look. Morning, Slanganani. Welcome in the house, brother. Nice to have you here. I only see you on WhatsApp, nowhere else. All right. So the first one, and this is one that I'm convinced that everybody, whether you're watching the recording or you're watching live, this is something that you wanted to do. This is something that you struggle to get done. This is something that frustrates the hell out of you possibly. I think there's maybe 2% of advisors who's got this under control, but this is a great time to clean your client database. And I'm talking specifically wherever that database may reside. So if you've got it on let's say you're using at work or Elite Wealth or Xplan, any of those systems, or you use a Firestorm, or you have your own CRM, or you use the Excel spreadsheet. It doesn't matter what you use, but you've got some form of an electronic copy of all of the client's information. So the biggest thing here is to go clean up, because what happens? You created somebody on that database that was a prospect and that never turned into a client. There are still people on that list that are no longer clients. Things like that. So simple things like that. So I would start off with cleaning the database just to go sort out which clients should be there and which ones shouldn't be there anymore. And then also those that shouldn't be there, do they know that they're not there already? It's just that they're still on your system, or do you need to let them know that they shouldn't be there? There's another thing that I'll talk about that'll link back to that as well. But those are the kind of things you want to do. So at least from who's on the system point of view, that's step 1A. Step 1B would be now, are their information up to date? That's important. And you need to have a plan and work. If you've got an assistant or a team, talk to them and say, how are we now going to use this time to update the information? Because a lot of your clients may have additional time right now, except if they're unfortunately a doctor or in essential services, they won't have time. But those are the kind of things that we can do now. So focus on that database, try and get it clean for once and for all. And then also maybe what you can do is just to go and at least group clients together. So not really do client segmentation as yet. You could do that as well. But I think there's a lot more work that needs to go into that to properly segment your business. It's not a case of just, I feel this is client A and I feel that is client B. I don't think that's the proper way to do it. But I'll talk about segmentation in a future episode as well. But those are things that you can do. So go clean that database. Okay, and while you're in this whole cleaning mood, you can also then clean up files and folders. I think this is something that we are all guilty. I'm guilty. That we're very guilty of, where we're trying to, you're always in a hurry, and it's like, I'm going to save this file quickly on my desktop and then I'll move it later, and then it just never happens. Or you don't use a proper naming convention. That is so important. That's also something that I'll talk about, is a naming convention. How can you go about having a structured way that you can consistently name your files in a particular way, so that when it comes to organizing your files and your folders, it makes it so much easier. So that is something that you can also get into. There is a file that there is a program that one can use to rename files in bulk, which is quite cool. I will see if I can. I'm just thinking about it now, that I can maybe share with you. I haven't tested it myself, so maybe I'll test it myself and then I'll share it with you. Sorry, I'm just making notes as I go along here. Okay. So that is that. So clean those files and folders, ladies and gentlemen. That's important. And then, obviously, this is a great time to go sit on the stoop or go sit somewhere quiet and just think and work on your strategy or your plan, because we need to have a plan. We can't, what happens? We've got to do some scenarios here. So what will happen if it's great? So after 21 days, we go back to work. I don't know if that's going to happen, by the way. So if I look at the way that people are still in the streets, they're still busy. I don't know how much I can believe what I see online, but it is very quiet. I must say it's extremely quiet in our area. We don't hear cars, we don't hear motorbikes, you don't hear the police, you hear nothing. So I think a lot of people are staying home. Thank you for that. We are certainly staying home. So yeah, have a look at it and take the time to, well, by the way, so what will happen if they extend the 21 days? What are we going to do then? You got to have a plan. Even if that plan we never have to do anything with it, then that's fantastic. But I would rather have a plan and not use it than having to use that I don't have a plan. And then the next step is then, or the next thing is then to, what do we do once things go back to normal, in the sense that everybody goes back to work, or we can go and interact and those kind of things, and things maybe pick up a little bit. How are you going to position yourself? Are you going to do things differently from the way that you've been doing it right now? That is the opportunity, and those are the things that we need to look at. I'm very excited to see whether the world of work have changed now permanently, because there's a lot of us that's been working from home. So a lot of us has been working exclusively online almost. That's definitely my thing. And I would like to see what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen going forward. And but if that is the case, how can you restructure your business? How can you save money in the process? How can you save time in the process? How can you use that to the benefit of your client and to the benefit of your business? So those are some things that we can definitely look at. All right. So number 4, study. Yes, learn a new skill. Study something. It doesn't matter really for me what it is. It doesn't have to be something in financial planning or in whatever profession you are in. You can just study something. It'll be good for your brain. It'll keep you busy. And you'll feel like you've done something new because you've been saying for such a long time that I want to study, I want to study, I want to study, and you just don't get to it. Go choose a little online course thingy that's 2 hours or 4 hours. It doesn't have to be a full-on thing that you have to do, but study something, or take this time to work on your CPD. That's very important. Don't wait. I know the CPD cycle have been extended until the end of August, and it's great and all of that, but I must say it's been great to see how many people have come on to Circulus and are doing their CPD, because I get the notifications. There's been a number of people who's bought some stuff that haven't done that before. So there are some people doing that. So I want to encourage everybody to go study something, whether it's, as I say, your CPD or you study some skill or whatever, but learn something. I think that's a great use of your time. Then number 5, learn a program. Is there some software that you've got and that maybe you use in your business, or you've got it, you want to use it, but you've never really gotten to learn it, or you've got something like a at work or an X-Plan or a Elite or whatever system you're using, and you use the stuff, but you never really use the planning part because I'm more comfortable with my other way of doing it. This is a great time to go and play around, see how it works, get to know. If there's tutorials and things on YouTube, go check that out. But learn a program. I think because we're moving more and more into this digital world, so being able to use things effectively and to its full potential, that is where the benefit is going to sit. So go in a program. And as I said, remember, you don't have to do all 21 of these things. You can choose which one you want to do. All right, let me quickly see. Yes, Leilani says, I like a big data cleanup project. Yes, why not? I think it's good for the soul, it's good for the mind. And when there's structure, suddenly we see opportunity as well. Manette says, good one, some great courses online. Yes, there is. If anybody's got any ideas for courses that you want to share, please do so. Don't be shy. Put them down in the chat in LinkedIn or in the comments. I think there's a chat on LinkedIn as well. So if you can put it in there, or then online as well on YouTube where we live as well. All right, next one. And this is also one of those things that I talk about in my employing technology talk, where, there's always this opportunity to have small wins and to do something that seems insignificant right now, and it saves you maybe 10 seconds. But you save 10 seconds every time you do it. And if it's something that you do a lot, suddenly in a day, you save 5 minutes. In a week, you save 25 minutes. In a month, you save 100 minutes. I mean, that's almost 2 hours. And then you see what you do in a quarter and in a year that you've saved. So, sometimes these small things we think, it's not worth it, it's fine. So what is the thing that I'm talking about? Well, it is design and create those templates that you've always wanted to do, because it makes one's life so much easier, whether it is an email that you send often to a client, whether it is a letter that needs to go out to clients, whether it is when you schedule appointments a certain way that the things look, anything that you do over and over and over again, there is a opportunity to create a template for it. If you've got templates already, maybe go and review them. Look at the tone of your voice, how how it sounds. Does this reflect your brand really? If you're like me, a little bit more happy-go-lucky and a little bit more on the humorous side and a little bit more just relaxed. I'm not as meneer, mevrou, geachte u. That's not me. I come from the Free State. When somebody speaks to you like that, you're in trouble. So that's not my brand. But there are other people that's their brand. So they are very this is how we do things. And those clients that they've got love that about them. That's why they've attracted those clients. So the question is, does all your communications, everything that you use, does it reflect that? The way your forms look. So another form of a template is a form. When you need certain information from a client, which forms do you have? And then even, I'll get to the next part in a second. But once you've got the templates, there's some other stuff that we can do as well. All right, so let me see, next one. So number 7, and this is also a big opportunity, is to do staff training in these times. Particularly if maybe your situation is that there isn't a lot of work. And then, you can have a look and see, well, what training can I give my staff? Because everything can be done remotely. Can I organize training to be done for them remotely, So this is a great time, because what we want is to be ready when things start recovering. And I want to tell you this quick story. Somebody was telling me in the group the other day a similar story, and I then told them my story. So I'm going to tell you my story. In 2009, I attended the Global Leadership Center. It was some leadership course program thing. So it was a 2-week thing at Standard Bank's Global Leadership Center in Morningside. And one of the days was a financial management day. And part of that was a simulation. So what they do in the simulation is they give you a whole scenario, and then things happen and things go wrong, and you know how it goes, but it's very real. And then you have to make decisions like, what are we going to do? What's going to be the next step? And one of the things that happened is that the economy tanked, and we went completely down, and almost all the groups there was retrenching people. They were cutting back on expenses. They were cutting back on their actions and their efforts and their activity. And then there was one group that did almost the opposite. So what they did was they created they did more. They invested. They built. They did things like that during that time. And that was the team that won at the end of the day, because when the recovery came, they were the ones that were ready, and they were the ones that was in a good position in order to deliver what had to be delivered. Whereas all the others now first had to go and get more staff and train them and get ready. So you see, by making sure that you are ready when the recovery happens, doesn't matter when that is. We don't know. I mean, we really don't know whether it's in 3 weeks, 3 months, or 6 months. I know some people say 3 months, some people say 6 months. We really don't know. But the thing is that we need to be ready. So this is a great time to train your people. I see there was a comment on YouTube as well, where Qubus says that Lalani would really love people to study for their CFP designation. I think we would all love that. If that is something that you want to do, if you decide that this is the year that I'm going to do an official qualification and I'm going to get my CFP designation, because that is the first step for me in really getting to add a lot of value to clients. There's a lot of things that goes with that, and on top of that, at the end of the day, but that should be the standard. So that's definitely something to consider, Qubus. I fully agree with that. All right, so staff training. Think about that. How can you do it? What can they study? Where can they study it? So that you can make them better in what they do, because they never have time, because you put piles of files on their folder, so on their desk. So have a look what they can do. Then this is also a great opportunity to enhance and better your website. And if you don't have a website, maybe think about what you would want on that website, because that is a very important part of what we do. I believe in, and I've had this chat in what was it, 2 episodes ago, when I was talking about the online world and, the role that social media and websites and all of that plays. I'm not going to get into that here. You're welcome to go check that out. I think it was episode 7 or 6. I can't remember exactly. I'm going to change the names anyway of all the recordings so that it's clear about what that episode is about. I'll do that over the weekend. But enhance your website. Look at what is on the website. Look at the flow of your website. Look at, what are you trying to convey? All the pictures that are being used, is that really representative of you? Don't just look at it. It's a very nice, nobody's got old people running on the beach, clicking their heels. Nobody's got that. That's not reality. So go look at, does your images really speak to your target audience? That's also important. That's why one of the things I'm going to talk about now has got to do with your clients. But you've got to be very clear about who do you want to talk to and who do you want to reach. Lalani says absolutely. So yes, go study that CFP, please. Brendan, good morning. Thank you. You say it's really relevant. Thank you very much for that, and great to have you here, man. I hope you're doing well, you and the family as well. All of you. I really hope that you're okay and that you're doing well. I see we've unfortunately lost the first 2 people to the coronavirus, so really not nice. So please stay safe. I would like to have some coffee with you somewhere in the future. All right, so the next thing then, once you've enhanced, you're looking at enhancing your website, and it doesn't mean that you've got to now go learn web development or how to build a WordPress website or things like that. But when you've got somebody looking after your website, maybe have a chat with them and see how can we make things better. Does what you see first when you get onto the page, does it really speak to the person that you want to speak to? Is it clear? Do they know where to go next from there? So those kind of things are very important. But look at, how can you make your website better? And is there maybe some functionality that you can implement for that? Number 9, this is a big one. This is something that I'll never get time for, is updating my own LinkedIn profile. And this is quite important. So go look at it. Do some research around, what makes a good LinkedIn profile. I'm going to talk specifically about this next week, possibly on Monday. Or even tomorrow, on Sunday morning, I can even talk about that. I think tomorrow morning, I will talk about social media for financial professionals, but anybody can listen to that. But I'll just focus primarily on how do you set up LinkedIn and what your profile should look like and those kind of things. So I'll do that tomorrow. All right, but update your LinkedIn profile. Number 10, do a finance audit on your practice. That's a nice thing to do, of course. So think about what this is just running through your expenses. Take the time, go through your bank statements, go through the financials. If you get management accounts, those kind of things, go through it. But look at all the expenses that you are paying. Are all of those things still relevant? Is there something that you can do about it? And this isn't about cutting costs. This is just about knowing what's going on in your business. When you look at business, there's really 5 components to a business. I'm not sure where this comes from. I saw this at a workshop, so this isn't my idea. I saw it at a workshop, and I couldn't forget it since then. So you really have 5 areas when you talk about a business. The first thing is value creation. So you've got to do something that is of value. There's got to be a problem for which you have a solution and for which you can help, or with which you can help people. So that's the first thing. If you can't create value, you don't have a business. Second thing is marketing. So you've got to do marketing because you've got to tell people about what you can do for them and that you understand the problem that they have. And this is how you solve it. This is the results that you get for them. So that's marketing. But when everybody knows about it, some of them may take action and some of them may use your service, but a lot of them may not. So then we've also need sales. So that's why I say, like, it doesn't matter what we do. Sales will always be, and I spoke about this extensively yesterday, like sales will always be a part of what we do. We've got to get people to buy so that we can help them solve those problems. So without sales, you don't have a business. Without marketing, without value, you don't have a business. So now we've created the value. We've told everybody about it. We've got some people to say, yes, please come and help me. Where were you my whole life? I can't wait for you to come and help me. And then we got to deliver the value. So now we've got value delivery. That's very, very important so that you now fulfill the promises that you've made in your marketing and in your sales. And then the last part, here we go, is financial management. So if you don't manage your finances well, you won't have a successful business. And when you, particularly small business, it's you doing most of the work. Maybe you've got an assistant or two. We don't spend time on those things. We know we need our financials at the end of the year, and we submit them to the FSCA, which has also been extended. So just go check out. I think I sent us that information as well. So just have a look at that. But that isn't really knowing your finances. It's not knowing what's really going on in your bank account, because all of those things give you some form of a summary of things. But you really need to get down to the detail, and this is a good time, I think, to do that, to do a little audit. So please don't get an auditor to do it for you. Do it yourself. Go through your bank statements. Look at all the expenses, the debit orders, and those kind of things that's going off. Are you using these things? And if not, start using them if they add value, because there's a reason you got them in the first place. If you don't use them, or you're not going to use them, then cancel them. Then why are you paying them? Same thing if you've got a credit card. Maybe you signed up to stuff that you don't use anymore. Make sure that you don't pay for those things then. But yeah, go through your finances and have a plan. Put a budget together and say, well, this is really what we want to do, because we got to be a bit more careful with how we spend our money, and that you got to make sure that you get value for what it is that you're spending. So number 2, do a finance audit on your practice. Okay. And this thing also actually goes with the very first 2 parts. It's another cleanup thing. So just, when finances drive you mad, go clean up that mailing list. If you've got an email list, I hope you do. You should have an email list. Go clean it up. And there's a way that you can do it, but you've got to start somewhere. And that's why I like to start with a database, clean that up, know who's in your business, who's not. Then you can come to the mailing list and have a look at, are the people that are on there, do we have the correct email addresses for our actual clients? And then just remember that you will have additional emails on there, people that maybe subscribe to your newsletter if you've got that on your website, or maybe it was previous clients or things. Don't think that you should stop communicating to them. They can unsubscribe. Just make sure you've got that unsubscribe button there at the bottom of the email, or somewhere on the email. Because then they can unsubscribe. It's up to them, but sometimes life happens. People go, and then somewhere in life, maybe you come back together. I don't know. But I've seen that happen before, where you communicate, and suddenly this person comes to the fore. If there are people on that list who obviously there's no relationship with, you cut the relationship, you don't want the relationship, then you can also go and change that. All right, let me just see quickly. So Slaganani, thanks. You say good content. Manette, Franco, will you be speaking about value proposition at some time? I think this is a good time for us to revise. Yes, I will be talking about that. Manette, you'll see it's actually one of the points that you can focus on. So definitely, I'll be looking at something there. And okay. Cool. Okay, I see Qubus says only one was because of COVID, but I talked about the people that passed away. He said that the second was not positive. They passed away of something else. Okay, so I missed that. But thank you, Qubus. All right, so once you've cleaned up your mailing list, you can decide in which order you want to do this, as I said. But number 12 is work on automation. Now, this links back to the templates thing. So when you've got templates, that is a form of automation. Why? Because I send the form, the client completes it, and it comes back. But then you can say, okay, but now that I've gotten that form back, what needs to happen now? Is there a way that I could implement this form so that when somebody completes it, it can automate from there as well? So we can get it into the database automatically, or we get it in a format where we can import it easily into whatever we want to use it for. So those are kind of things that you can look for. But also, I want you to go have a look at your business and look at the things that you do repetitively. So that's where you start. The things that it's just like we do it over and over and over and over again. And then go and look, is there a way that I can automate this? I'm going to give you a very simple example. Let's just say, like, I mean, we've all seen this, we all know this, but I don't know if we all do this. But and there's also different ways of doing it. But when somebody sends you an email to say, thank you, I received the email, we'll get back to you within 10 hours or 5 hours or whatever, that you look at that and say, is there a way that when that email comes in, we can send a automatic response to that person without it saying out of office or automatic reply or things like that? Just an email that goes back and say, thank you, we acknowledge the receipt of your email, we'll get back to you in this time frame. Because that, one, helps with the perception of service, and two, it then sets the expectation of how long it'll take for you to get back to them. So those things are important, but there's lots of other things that we can look at, like when you send a particular email regularly, have the little template and then have it in a way that you can insert it. I'm not a big fan of putting things just merely into, let's say, into OneNote or into Word or Google Docs so that you can go in there, copy and paste it in. You should really look at, is there a way to integrate that template into your system so that you can use it with a click of a button in the system that you're sending emails from, for example. But there's other things that you can automate. I mean, on our website, for instance, we've automated bookings completely. So when somebody books for any kind of session, they go through, they put in their information, it takes them through to make a payment, they make the payment, they come back, they get added automatically to our mailing list for that event. They then get those emails automatically to confirm everything. And I sit with a CSV file that I can use very easily to submit to whoever I need to submit it to. And it also then automatically registers them if it's a webinar, for instance. So you go on my website, fill in a form, and from there, everything else is happening automatically. So those kind of things are definitely possible, but we just need to think about what are we doing and is there an opportunity? And then we need to explore that opportunity more. Okay. Let me see. Oh, we're doing good on time. Cool. So next one is create content or create ideas for content. That's important. This is a great time now to be putting content out. But here's the thing, and we spoke about this at length. I've spoken to people on the phone, on WhatsApps. I've spoken to people in the group that we've got. And we are all sort of the same thing that, you know what, if you were nowhere to be found before this whole thing hit, jumping onto social media and starting to send a lot of messages and things, you missed the boat. But it doesn't mean that you can't decide that, listen, for future, I need to start doing this. So let me start doing this now. But then you've got to make sure that you remain consistent and you keep on doing it. So if it's something that you're not going to do after this whole crisis is over, then please don't even start. Rather keep doing things the way that you do them, because as soon as we change the way we behave and the way we do things and the way we talk maybe as well, you change people's perception of you. And if you were never, ever anywhere to be found, and now suddenly you jump on with just bombarding people with a lot of information, there's definitely you're going to lose some relationships in that, or at least what people think of you. So those are kind of things just to consider. But this is a great time to start writing your own articles. They don't have to be long, at least 300 words, I would say. But if you can get something in the order of 500 to 600 words, that's a good standard sort of length. You can even go and write longer articles. But write those articles in whatever, in Word, in Google Docs, wherever you want to write them, on the notes application or whatever you want to write it on. Write it. What I typically do as well is when I think about ideas, I just write down what I was thinking. So the title that I was thinking about, and then just maybe 2, 3, or 5 bullet points so I can remember when I come back to that, what it is that I wanted to talk about. Let me just take a... so those are things I believe that you should be looking at in terms of that. But this is a great time for this specifically. And I'm a big believer in that you should be doing your own content and coming up with your own ideas for content of things that you want, even if you have somebody else writing it for you. But it should be your ideas, because it should mainly be unique, in my opinion. What you don't want is everybody sharing the same kind of thing, but it's like, okay, so with different people, it's on my own website, but I'm sharing this is like copying some article from Business Live and putting it into a blog post on your website. You want to be unique, and they've got to hear your voice. I always say when people read something, they must almost hear you speak in their mind. Yeah, this is Francois speaking. This is Qubus speaking. This is, obviously things like grammar and those things are important, but speak the way you speak, because that's you. Particularly if you're talking to your existing audience, and you've got to also think about the audience that you're trying to attract. You've got to speak in a way that will be appealing to them, obviously. But that's it. So go create content or ideas for content. In other words, make a list of things. So either posts or videos or articles or whatever that may be. But just go make a list of things that you would like to talk about during the rest of the year, because you'll get into that habit of doing that. Then a big one for me, I love it, is listening to podcasts. This is a great time. If you always wondered about podcasts, give me a shout if you don't know how to get started. I will help you get started. I must maybe put together a little guide of how to actually get started with podcasts and on the different platforms. But it's quite easy. It's a great thing to do. It's for free. You can listen to it anytime, anywhere. While you're doing anything else, you can almost listen to it, unless you want to listen attentively. Obviously, you won't be able to do calculations and listen to a podcast. I can promise you that. It's not music. But it is something that is really nice to do. It's something that you can lie on your back and just listen to if you wanted to. If you're running, if you're walking, whatever you're doing, you can listen to that podcast. So there's a lot of opportunity there. I gave a list of my recommended podcasts in another episode. I think that was also on Thursday. So what was that episode? 987, episode 7. Go check that out. It's in the description below the video. It's also in the on LinkedIn. I also posted it below the video in the comments. So go check out the list with links to the actual podcast. And so go check them out. It's a really good place to start. And then from there, you can obviously have a look. All right. Just by the way, with podcasts, you can listen to them on your laptop if you wanted to. Most people listen on their mobile devices, but you can listen to it on anything that you want. As long as you've got an internet connection, then you can download them, and then you don't need an internet connection anymore. So you can download a few episodes, and you don't need to use anything else. You can just listen to them. Number 15 is create, because everybody I know is saying like, I want to create a company profile. I want to create a company profile, but we never do, because it's hard work, and it's difficult to go and sit down and get your thoughts together of what would you want to be in there. So go create or update your company profile, because often we've done this 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago, and we never update the company profile. This is a great time to go review that and look, does this still reflect your vision and your mission, and does it still speak about what is important to you, and does it explain your philosophy, and does it explain who you work with and what you do for them? So a very important thing, I think, to look at at your company profile now. It's an ideal opportunity. Then here we go, Manette. So number 16, enhance your value proposition. Or if you don't have one, well, we all have a value proposition. If you're doing something and people are doing business with you, you are creating and delivering value. So you do have a value proposition. The thing is that we don't always write it down, and we don't always structure it, and then we don't always communicate this to our clients. So it's really to go sit down and say, well, what is it that I do for clients? Who do I do it for? How do I help them? What is the results that they get? That's really what a value proposition is about. So I'll definitely be talking about that in the coming week. I've got some great guests coming on in the coming week. I'm very excited about that. We also have guests on for some episodes, so I'll announce that before the time. At the moment, I just know who they are. I can't exactly tell you, but we will announce it in the week. So I'm going to have some guests on that. I'm going to talk about some interesting stuff, particularly that's very, very obviously applicable in the times that we're in at the moment. So yeah, enhance your value proposition. Go look at that. Just write it down, guys. There's no format for a value proposition. There's no all it is about is just making what you're doing tangible by putting it down in writing. Then afterwards, you can make it look nice and say, oh, I want to take this out and take that out. So you can start with everything that you're doing for your clients. Particularly, maybe you start with what you do for all of your clients. that you do for your biggest clients, your most important clients? What are all the things that you do for them? And then from there, you can look at, sort of changing it as you go along, adding things, taking things away, etc. But we can talk about that in a future episode. Yes, Qubus says you must be authentic to your brand. And Qubus, this is something I must commend you for, the way that you do things. I mean, I love, like, the first time I heard you say passion for the profession, and I thought, wow, that's nice. And then you had that little banner that you still have on top of I think you still got it on top of your email, just like that. And then that same banner was on your LinkedIn. So there was this consistently to communicate to people that you have a real passion. But now, you are showing your passion. I mean, I just think about what you've done with the investment forum, how you got involved, and the things that you helped with in terms of that. And I don't know exactly what you did, but I could see from the things that was shared, etc., that you helped Kevin in a way in that, so you always step up. Every time something happens, you've helped me quite a lot, and you didn't have to do that, and I'm very grateful of that. But when you say you're passionate, now every Friday, you're spending some time with people that are less than 2 hours. Oh, 2 hours, that feels like 2 years in the industry, can set up time with you to discuss of how they can talk to their clients, what they can do in these difficult times. I haven't seen anybody else really offer that yet. Maybe they do, I just didn't see it. But you're really walking that talk. I know I always say you walk the talk, but you really do. So, and that's the thing, you stay authentic to your brand, Qubus. And people can really sit up and have a look at the way that you do things. So I myself learned a lot from you, and I keep on learning a lot from you, and that's awesome. Just make sure there's no more comments there. All right, so let's get back to the next one, number 17. And here we go. This is something that I love talking about. This is something that I love doing myself, that I love helping other people with. And this is to define your ideal client. I've got a very particular way of how I look at how do you define your ideal client. And it's very, very simple that, typically when you ask people, who's your ideal client? No, I work with doctors. With female doctors that live in the Western Cape. They earn more than 800,000 Rand a year. And what else do they do? I don't know. But let's just say that's that. So it's female doctors living in the Western Cape earning more than 800,000 Rand. And then my next question is, you always could have niche. You could have got more niche than that. So you could have said that I work with surgeons. Okay, but let's just leave it at doctors. But that's typically what we do. We look at what it is that they do. It's what they earn, what they have. Maybe you say they've got investable assets of more than $1 million or whatever. And that's great. You should have that. But that's not the important part, because the question I usually ask is, are all the doctors, the female doctors that live in the Western Cape and earn more than 800,000, have investable assets of R1 million or more, your ideal client? And then some people will say, yes. I would say, no, let me ask you again. Are all the doctors who are female and that live in the Western Cape, who earn more than 800,000 and have R1 million or more in investable assets, your ideal client? And they go, yes. I go, no, let me ask you again. The point there is that, no, they're not, because there is an element, or actually a set of elements that we need to consider that is much more important. It's much, much more important than what they do for a living. So I split this between what they do for a living and then who they are as people, who they are as human beings, because the who they are so much more important than it is on the than what it is that they do. So you can really have two doctors. They may even tick all the boxes. They can say yep, and I go through the list. I feel energized when I'm done working with them. When they say yes, they mean yes. When they say no, they mean no. So they stick to their word. They can take action. They can make decisions. So we can tick all those kind of boxes. But then there's one particular one that I want to just quickly mention here, is that they will say, do they see my value? Because you can have all the other boxes ticked, but if that one person doesn't see your value because they believe they can do it better themselves, or they also have a passion for finances and they like doing it themselves, they will never pay you for that. They will maybe take out products through you because they can't do it any other way if they can't get it directly from somewhere else. But they're not going to really pay you for advice and for services and things like that because they don't see your value. And that's nothing wrong with you, your value proposition, or the way you communicate. It is just that's the person they are. And then we got to be that's for me the defining thing to say, well, but then it's not my ideal client. I'll still give you information and help you, because you never know what happens in the future, because sometimes those people get to a point, they say, I just don't have time. And suddenly they do see a bit more value for outsourcing that. So those are the kind of things. And that works in like that in any business. You usually when the phone rings and you go like, oh, crap. Okay, this is like, now I need to speak to Francois. Those people, you can already take them out because they're just draining your energy. So that's more focus on who they are as people, how you feel. Are you excited to work with them? Do you like them? A friend of mine says, would we braai with them? Would we spend time with them? Would I introduce them to my family? Those are the kind of people that they want to work with. And then they look at, whether they've got the other stuff as well. So have a look at that. Then number 18. Let me just see. I've got number 17 there. Number 18, cut the fluff. So with cut the fluff, this now goes back to the database that you've cleaned, the fact that you've looked at your ideal client, your mailing list, everything that you've cleaned there. So now we want to go have a look at, who are the people that we shouldn't be working with? And particularly now that you've gone the people that are not such nice humans, you've got them, but they always give you hell. Even if it's your biggest client, that you're making the most money, the amount of energy and everything that takes from you. And I know that's easy for me to say, sitting here saying you should cut a client like that. If that's 20 or 30% of your income, I understand it's huge. But you must also understand the long-term impact that relationship has got on you and your business. That is possibly why you are not building your business. And you can have a strategy. Let's go find another person like that, but who's nice and that we get along with well, that we want to braai with. And then you cut the other client. But I heard a very nice thing on a podcast a while back where the lady said, we don't fire clients, we retire them. So I really, really love that. So there's a nice way of doing it. It's not like I just don't get along with you. I can't work with you. I don't want to work with you. You drive me crazy. That's not the way to do it. Because remember, any business is built on relationships. If you can refer them to someone who's maybe more suited to their style of doing things, they will value that and you can maintain that relationship. So there's a way of doing it, but you should also go look at least in this time, go make a list of the people that you shouldn't be working with at this point in time. Let's see. Yes, Terence says, Qubus helped me over 7 years ago and his lessons have helped me lots. Thank you, sir. Yep, absolutely. I don't even do what Qubus does, and Qubus has helped me tremendously as well. Terence, so yeah, I echo your sentiment, and thanks for saying that on here as well. I don't think people always get the credit that they need, and sometimes people have some perceptions and thoughts that they've got. So for me, I really gotten to know Qubus, and yeah, I'm so glad that I did. Anyway, so yes, let me just see. So Neil on LinkedIn says, I lost the feed for point 14. When you have finished, please can you mention what point 14 is? Neil, I will do that. Brendan, absolutely true. Sometimes clients don't see our value regardless of how hard we try to get them on board. And Brendan, I want to add on to that. I fully agree. We're not in the business of convincing the unconvinced. If our marketing is good and our things are good, they will convince themselves and they will be ready to talk. But to spend time on trying to convince someone just because they tick a lot of the boxes, we're just wasting our time. Move on. They will come to you when they're ready. They often say, I can't remember where somebody said that, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And that's definitely true. It's not that they will never see your value, but it's to try and convince somebody who's not ready to listen. You're just wasting your time. It's like asking a child to come and clean something in the kitchen. You're wasting your breath half the time. But anyway, so that's a bit off the point. All right. So number 19, design and enhance your client experience. That is guys, you don't understand how powerful client experience is. And client, again, we come up with these words, and then if the abbreviation for that is CX, so client experience, like you've got user experience is UX. I even got something that's now called AX, advisor experience, where I help broker consultants and their managers and teams create an advisor experience, because I think advisors are not really getting what they should be getting. Maybe things are not aligned as much as they should be. So the experience from advisors such as yourself with companies may not be as great. And maybe there's one company that you work with, you've got a great experience because they are doing things that are really adding value to you in that sense. But also, it's nice to work with them. You feel welcome when you work with them. They want to talk to you. It's not like you're interrupting their day. You know, those kind of things. And the same with client experience. It sounds like this big word, but it's very, very simple. And all you need to do, and I learned this from Brian, I can't remember his name now, Brian, the guy that started Rocker Mamas. He said when he starts a new business, he envisions the entire journey with, well, as the client comes walking up onto the premises, so as they come walking and they see the restaurant, what are they seeing? What does it look like? When they get in, how are they greeted? So he takes them through the entire journey. He envisions that and he writes it down, and then he starts crafting like, what would the experience be like? And part of that is the quality of the food, how they prepare the food, how they present the food. I mean, they even went as far as to say, well, when they started, Instagram was just becoming a thing here in South Africa, and a lot more people were snapping things with their phones. And they saw that the pictures didn't look that great on the internet. So he thought like, okay, we need to look at the lighting in this place. I mean, who does that? It's amazing. We need to give them good lighting, but it's got to be balanced. So we want enough lighting in order to take great pictures of the food. And then we also want not too much. We don't want too much lighting so that we spoil the mood in here. And that's what they did. They worked on it until they got it right. And they asked customers, please, when you're here, post a picture are you on Instagram? Oh, fantastic. Post a picture. Use this hashtag. And that's how they got the word out. Now that's more marketing kind of stuff. But what I want to get back to is if you focus on what they were thinking about, the things that he focused on, the things that mattered, the small things like lighting, you know. So what does it look like when you meet a client at Mug and Bean? You know, how much can you manage that experience? You know, and even there, you need to be very careful of the way you speak to the waiter and the way that you conduct yourself there. But apart from a lot of other issues around that, is that, you know, when you've got them in your office, you can really control the entire experience. But also, if you are somebody that goes out to go see clients at their premises or at their business, how can you make that experience an enjoyable one for them? What needs to be in place? What do you need to communicate before, during, and after the time? You know, those kind of things. Like now, we were doing a lot of online meetings. You know, how do you create that? You know, what will be the experience there? How are you going to make sure that they get you know, the best experience, so they can say, wow, this was different from all the other times that I've done this. And on that note, I maybe want to just quickly remind you about the Zoom training that we had. It is recorded. It is on my YouTube channel. It's available for free. It'll remain free forever and ever, even after I've gone. It'll be there, and there's some downloads and things in the descriptions as well that you can download to help you get started with Zoom or with virtual meetings in general as well. You can use another program, but you know, running good virtual meetings, etc. We've got everything in there. So go check it out. It's for free, and if you've got that, send the link to everybody that needs help with that, please. It's really the whole intention behind it was to help and to get people going. And I think some of the best emails I got lots of. I've never gotten as many messages as I did for that session. But there were a couple of emails that came through in the week that said, thank you very much. I've got my first client meeting on Zoom on Friday and on Thursday. And yeah, it was just, I can't tell you how much that means to me, because that's what it was about. It was not about just doing a session, spending some time and then moving on. It's really helping people to do things that they maybe would have, it's not that they wouldn't have been able to do it without me, but they would have struggled maybe, and hopefully this made it a lot easier. So go check it out. It's at www.francodutoit.co.za/learn Zoom. It takes you direct. You don't have to log in, give me your email or anything like that. It takes you straight to the video. You watch the video. In the description, you can download the resources. And in the video, we also mentioned where you can download the resources. So you can absolutely do that. Let me see. There's another. Yeah, you're right, Qubus. Thanks. It's Brian Aldridge. You're 100% right. I just couldn't get to his surname. Thank you very much for that. Alrighty. So where were we? We were on number 19, if I remember correctly. So we were talking about designing and enhancing your client experience. Then number 20, Whoops, I'm 1 minute over time. I'm almost done. Number 20, start a hobby. You've always wanted to do something, or take up your hobby again, something that you used to do when maybe you were younger, or, before you got married, because I know how it goes. You start a hobby, or you have a hobby, and then life takes over and you don't do that as much. Go revisit that. It's great for your mind. I always said that, there's 3 things you need. Obviously your work, then you also need to do, you need to do something that makes you active. And then that's sport, because sport cannot. Don't, if I ask somebody what's your hobby and they say running, I want to die, because there's no way that running is a hobby. Running is exercise. But then you need a creative hobby, something that is creative, that challenges the other part of your brain, something that makes you think, that helps you problem solve in a different way. So that's why a hobby is so important, and it takes your mind completely off the other stuff that is maybe just taking over and things like that. Then lastly, also a good idea is to start a mastermind group. This is just simply getting a few like-minded individuals together and say, let's meet once a week, or once a month, or once every 2 weeks, on Zoom, for instance. You can just have a chat, and all you do is you just say what you have an agenda before the time of what everybody wants to discuss, and then everybody gives their input and they listen, and they just help one another. And together you can come up with some ideas or solutions or strategies for yourself. And then obviously they can then keep you accountable for that as well. So a mastermind group is a good place where you can go and share your experiences. It shouldn't be a moan and bitch and let's just dump all our issues there and then leave it. It is, you should do that as well. But then you need to go the next step and say, okay, but what do we do about it? What can I do? What do you think is an opportunity? I'm battling with this. What would you do? And often it'll be great if you've got people from outside your own industry as part of that mastermind. So if you think about some of your clients, maybe you can remember they also need this. So you can start a little mastermind together. So do that today. I think that'll be great. Don't make it big. 5, maybe 6 people. Don't make it big. Otherwise, you're not going to get through the time. You only meet for an hour. You can make it a bit longer if you wanted to, but keep it to 5 or less people, and that'll be great. Then I want to leave you with a bonus idea. This is to create a WhatsApp broadcast list from your clients. It takes some time because you've got to add them one by one. So go do that if you always wanted to do it. It's something that I use quite a lot. Luckily, I see most people have not blocked me. They still receive the WhatsApps. Thank you for that, because I know I sent a lot in the last week. I will dial it down a little bit in the coming week and only send the most necessary stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great way to stay in touch. You can send voice notes, you can send images, you can send motivation, you can send a video clip, you can send text. You can really send links that you want people to go and check out. So it's a much nicer way. I mean, you've got about a 98% open rate on WhatsApp. I think Razan said when I interviewed her on Propulsion, a 98% open rate on WhatsApp, but you don't have, where emails you look at 20, 25, 30%, if on a good day. But also I must say on the emails, you don't really get all the opens, because unless they download the pictures, you won't know that they opened it. Anyway, so that's that. So yeah, thank you very much for being here this morning. Let me see if there's any more comments. I see there's some stuff that came through. Lalani, cut the fluff for me means stay focused. Focus on what adds value, definitely. So you can cut fluff actually in a few ways. I was particularly referring to still looking at your client base and your ideal clients and who are you working with that you shouldn't be working with, etc. But definitely you can cut the fluff in all areas of your life. And one of the things I think we can do very, very well is just to decide, like, listen, let me leave my phone in the room. I need to focus on what I need to learn, because there's so many messages and things coming through. So any distractions could be cutting the fluff as well. Ryan says, Ryan, I did say hello to you this morning. I'm pretty sure I did, but morning if I didn't. I like to work with people that value, let me just open this, that value the value I can add, that are respectful and professional towards our relationship with one another, and are willing to pay a fair fee for the fair work and services provided by us. Absolutely, Ryan. And when I got to spend time with you in September in Cape Town, when I visited Verso, this is absolutely 100% spot on the way that you and the guys at Verso operates as well. But you're very clear on who you work with and who you want to work with, and you believe in the business model, and that's the great thing. That's the first step. We can also maybe talk in a session about, fees or just different business models. So let me say business models, then I can talk about that in a future episode as well. So great, thank you for that. Brendan agrees 100% with Ryan. Manette says to Ryan, true. Yes, she agrees. And then France, I think you're adding a huge amount of value, François. Thank you. Oh, thank you, France. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Yeah, Neil says this is awesome. Thank you, François. Lelani, great session. Thank you very much. So, and let me see here on the YouTubes. On YouTubes, I've got Terence saying, make the future topic. Make that a future topic is how to set up a mastermind group structure discussion points. I will do that. No problem. I can do that. Mastermind setup, because I'm part of one at the moment. I can see how it works. I can see the value we're getting, so I can give you some pointers around that and things to look out for. And then Qubus says start a client WhatsApp list. Definitely, it is absolutely critical to do that. That is still the preferred way for people to communicate with one another, and you can see whether they got it or not. So that's important from that point of view. Let's see. Neil says build a proper business plan. Yes. So those are things we can all do. I can actually use some of the things that we discussed in the Ascend session in December as part of that. So we can do that. Create a proper business plan. I can do that. Oh, yes. Point 14 again. Thank you, Neil. So let me go. Point 14. Point 14 was listen to podcasts. I gave a list of all the podcasts that I recommend. Definitely, if you want to start with those, they are great. There are so many podcasts out there, but the ones that I found that adds a lot of value to my business and would also add value to financial advisors' businesses is definitely the ones that I listed. There are 7 of them, so go check them out. They are on. I think it's episode 7 or it'll still say day 7 at the moment, but I'm going to change that to episode 7. In the description, there's a list, but also on that video on LinkedIn. There is, so if you just go to my profile, go look at my activity and go to my posts, you'll see all the videos there, and you'll see one of them. I've got a comment below with all 7 podcasts with links to them as well. But listen to podcasts. You can listen to them on any device. There's so many. You'll see that. I mean, most of the things. So our podcast, for example, is available on all the platforms. So Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. I can't remember all of them. TuneIn, Player FM. They're available everywhere. And also on our website. So that's the case with most of these podcasts. So whatever app you prefer to listen to and on any device, you can absolutely do that. Guys, thank you so much. Wow, this has been an hour and 10 minutes. But also because the first while I didn't have my microphone on. So yeah, I'll see you back tomorrow, 8 a.m., same place, same time. So even though it's Sunday, I'm going to be here. I will see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. And yeah, have a good Saturday. Enjoy some quality time with the family. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much. Cheers.